Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. As you all know, Mumbai it was made up of 7 islands, right? We are at the outskirts of it. And this area, what you can call as, is termed as Konkan. Konkan, in archaeological, you can say, meaning point of view, was known as Aparanta. Again, I jump into philology. Aparanta means that land which is secluded from the rest of the country. Why? I hope you all know that the Sahyadris are the oldest mountain range which you all have. Okay, so they are segregating this entire patch of coastal land from it. So now, at that time in the historical era also, and prior to the historical era, people used to go by boat. So they had to cross these Sahyadris, come down and then sail overseas. Sopara was a port. But to reach to Sopara, they had to cross all the way and come over here to Mumbai. They required a place to halt, to wait. Okay, now you will say, then how did these caves emerge? Buddha asked the, you can say, people to go out into the, you can say, country and spread Buddhism. And here he has spoken in the Pitikas. I don't know whether you all know about the Pitikas. These are the 3 the canonical literature. You have the Vinaya Pitika, the Sutta Pitika and the Abhidhamma Pitika. But the Vinaya Pitika speaks about discipline. And in that Vinaya Pitika, we get a reference to Buddha asking you all to excavate a cave. Remember, you cannot build a cave, you have to excavate a cave. And you carve the architectures, you've got to carve from top and then come down. So you'll always see that the roof is finished. Maybe the ground is not, but the roof is always finished. Keep this in your mind when you'll see those caves. What Buddha says, he says, Pabbatem khanitva pabharam Sodha petva lenam kutkamo. That means you cut a scarp of a hill and excavate a cave and reside in it. However, conditions in North India are not favorable for making caves. So you will find majority of caves in Maharashtra. 2/3 of the caves in India are in Maharashtra. But you'll say, then why did Buddha say such a thing? Did he come to Maharashtra? No, the earliest caves are found in Bihar. Anybody from Bihar? They had to come to Konkan to go to ports like Sopara. You had Kalyan as a port. Can't imagine Kalyan as a port. And Thana was also a port. So to come from that, you have to make all trade routes. And let me tell you all that on all the trade routes in Maharashtra, especially on the western, you all have caves. So that's something very interesting. Like for example, to come from Borghat, you all have Karla, Bhaja, Bedsa, Kondane, 4 groups of caves. Okay, even over here, when you're crossing at Elephanta, you have a Buddhist site. After the decline of Buddhism, it was taken over by Shaivites. But they have found relics of the stupa and everything over there also. So it was a port. Elephanta was a port in the early times. They used to cross across and come over here. So this require Ghatkopar. Now again, you can look at the name like Ghatkopar. Ghatkopar, you take a round turn around and cross up, come from the other side and come to Kanderi, cross across and go to Sopara. In Mumbai itself, they used to come via Mahakali. Mahakali was known as Kondivit caves, one of the earliest caves. So Ghatkopar, Kondivit, cross across Vihar, over here, stay overnight and go ahead. And why are these caves very important? Right from 2nd century BC till about, you can say, 7th, 8th century AD, you all have activity going on over here. So that is something very important. In fact, they call this as the university, the earliest university, Buddhist university in western part of India. Each school had their own sections around. So therefore, you all have more than 125 excavations over here, which is quite fascinating. Yeah.
One interesting thing is, why did they do it? Is it some crackpot monks who said, let me build a cave?
No, it is for permanent residents.
Did the monks build these or they?
No, you have artisans building. The monks don't build all these things.
Okay, so they come over only after a cave?
Yeah, they travel around. And I'll show you another inscription which shows that people donated property. Cave number 21, you will see they donated land right across over here, Magathane. And the output of the land was to be given for the monks' clothes and food, interest on it. So you see, banking system also existed during that day. So they used to eat all the interest, eat and live on the interest. And later on, what happens in 7th, 8th century AD is that the people, the merchants, found it difficult to come over here. So they decided to stay at Magathane caves only. There are caves over here across which I'm fighting for survival. And there are builders who have taken up that whole area. It's a beautiful group of caves, Vajrayana caves right down. So from there only they used to sail off. One more group of caves was destroyed where you have the Times of India building. Padan Hills they're called. As there were caves there with inscriptions, destroyed. Why? Again destroyed thanks to the British. They graded the caves as D-grade caves. And we followed that whole tradition. Because wherever you can say graded any site which has a D grade or C grade according to their standard, those sites were destroyed. Today in America, any site which is 100 years old is declared as a heritage site. We should be proud of what we have over here. That's what you all should do. The first cave, I shall show you only from outside. You will say why? Because though it is the first cave, it is the last cave in the whole entire area. So I want you to see the cave only when you are coming down. Don't go and see it now. Because the fun of it you will understand only later, because I told you about the fine finish. So the topmost part is finished. You cannot reach up on top because they come down removing slabs. That can be understood over here. This was going to be a larger Chaitya hall for the Mahayanas, but they could never complete it. Many times instead of sculptures they painted. Ajanta is a very good example of it, because instead of making sculptures they just painted everything and completed the whole cave. So cave number 1 at Ajanta actually is an unfinished, unused cave. Virgin cave, what you can call as. Though it's the best cave, and because it was never used, and it was towards the end, because the actual entrance is not from cave number 1, from cave number 9. So even when it was taken over by sadhus and all, they never used it cave number 1. And so cave number 1 is intact with paintings even today. The entire complex is termed as a vihara. Okay, now they are called as Leni. Leni comes from the word Lena, okay, that is beauty or lavanya. This is called as mountain beauty or honeycomb architecture. So from a distance, you will see them as spots around over there. Okay, so you have architecture divided into the vihara and the chaitya. Chaitya is a prayer hall. Keep that in your mind. And vihara is where you reside, the whole complex. Vihara is further divided into cells for the monks to stay in. The hall, which is called as a matappa. There's one of the biggest hall over here in India, parallel to cave number 5 at Ellora. And this hall can be used for 2 purposes, Bhojana Matappa and Uposatha Matappa. That means for eating purpose. In the rains they were allowed to cook, otherwise they had to go down to Borivali, beg, get the food over here, share it and eat it in that. So you will see, or they could sit down over there and confess. If you have any confessions before going, you can confess in Uposatha Matappa in cave number 11 right up over here. Then you all had asana pedikas, that is benches to sit on. Like there's a cave number 67 up there. It has sagar, this thing. It's called that, so that you can view the sea. Sea is only 20 kilometers away from here. You can see, so they have a viewing gallery kind of over there on top. You have Panya Podi, you have Snana Podi. So water which they collected was actually rainwater. There's rainwater harvesting. You don't have springs down there. So you have Panya Podi, Snana Podi. Every cave over here has a podi. The early Hinayana cells have beds inside. The ones which don't have beds are Mahayana. And still more earlier cells have even pillows. So if you look at the Udaygiri and the Khandagiri caves in Orissa, they are some of the most beautiful, you can say, places. You can see some foreign influence also over here. I'll show you all the foreign influence. So you have the Persians invading India. Afterwards, you'll have Chandragupta Maurya, you can say, taken. You have Alexander coming a little bit. Now, Alexander, you can say, dies. But he's Greek, you can say, soldiers stay over there and they marry, okay, whatever it is. Meanwhile, you all have Scythians coming all the way down. Now, the Scythians came down from Gujarat down to Maharashtra. Yes.
Where are they originally from?
They are actually beyond Bactria they come from. Those are Greek states around. Okay. Now, when they came down over here, what happened was they conquered the Satavahana region. You have the Satavahanas ruling over here. Now the Satavahanas were pushed into Andhra Pradesh. That's why they were called as Andhra Bhritas. Meanwhile, you all had, you can say, one Satavahana king, Gautamiputra Shatakarni, coming back and pushing them back again. Like if you go to Gujarat, you all have Junagadh. So that was the main center point of the Scythians, Rudradaman. The Scythians were controlled by the Chinese. Okay, what images you all see in India, thanks to the Chinese. Okay, the Chinese introduced it over here. I'll talk about it later on. The largest treasure hall in India is that at Kavla Caves. So you can see there's a circumambulation park and there is small bodies to put in lamps. Again, I mentioned to you all about patronage. Because it lacks patronage, there are no sculptures over here of anything. Or probably because remember they came like this inside. So the first, pillars to be done were those and then. But human mentality shows us that I don't want to, you can say, sponsor a pillar which is behind. Who's going to see myself? You will see that many places, especially caves on the other side, 21, 22, 23 and all, cannot, you can say, they don't have any carvings. There's actually sandy stuff over there. Even this patch over here where there's a cemetery is very sandy kind of an area. Okay, there's ash over there because this is volcanic ash which you all will see here. And there are, you can say, the ropey lava which also flows through. So certain things you have to observe. And the artists, the artisans at that time knew about this aspect. So sometimes they have made figures according to the whole thing. So that is something really very, you can say, interesting when you see why are they making those sculptures, why are certain sculptures, there are mistakes. Is there, you can say, some kind of a hindrance from people, or is it because of, you can say, natural form? So you got to understand these things when you all see those caves.